Hi, I'm Tom with Betterley Tools. I'd like to take a minute and talk about guide rails, track saws, and clamping the guide rails in place. And one of the great things about track saws is oftentimes you don't need to clamp the guide rail. Just lay it on and make the cut. But there are times you're going to want to clamp it. Maybe you're cutting something really expensive, doing a real long rip. Maybe you just need to ensure that that cut is dead accurate. The most common clamps used, slide into the guide rail and clamp the material from the bottom side. Sometimes they're easy to use, sometimes they're not. Maybe if you're working on the floor, you can't access the bottom side. Your material is just not the same, isn't bigger than the work surface you're on. So we've developed a Betterley Guide Gripp. So we're utilizing a Grabo, which gives us a cordless electric vacuum pump that enables us to clamp the guide rail in place from the top surface. We don't need to access the bottom. So even on a somewhat porous material like this veneered MDF, we can clamp because we have a vacuum pump instead of just a suction cup. Another advantage is if you're doing a real long cut, maybe 12 feet, 18 feet, you can add another clamp in the middle to make sure the guide rail doesn't deflect. So the Betterley Guide Gripp attaches onto your Grabo, and it's quite simple. So we have two parts to it. The guide grip that attaches here, the body, and then the adapter for the track saw, guide rail. So the adapter is pretty easy to position anywhere you need it on the guide rail. There's two screws, secure it in place. And then just drop the Betterley Guide Gripp on top of the adapter. And that'll hold it in place. Now, one thing I want you to notice, if you can see this or not, is once you position your guide rail where you want it and clamp, the guide grip will not shift the guide rail from left to right at all. To remove them, just simply turn it off, lift it up. Now there are times when it's nice to leave the guide grip attached to the guide rail. And in that case, we simply remove those two knobs from storage, drop them in there. And I'd like to have it running when I'm doing this. Put the knobs in just snug. And now the guide rail stays attached to the guide grip. So that can come in handy in a lot of places. Even if you're cutting, say, melamine shelves. There's not a lot of surface area here for the foam on your guide rail to grip. So if I'm lining this up and I've got a guide grip on there, it's not going to go anywhere. That's locked as solid as you can get it. Other places you might use it, you don't have to access the back side. If you had a 4-foot cube and you wanted to cut it in half, you could clamp this in place from the outside. If you're doing a long grip, maybe you're doing 12-foot grips, it might be nice to put a third guide grip in the middle to keep that rail from flexing.